Right, the Springbok squad to face New Zealand at Ellis Park has just dropped, and I'm joined here by Cameron Wright, Sharks scrum off. He's put me through the paces today at the Sharks, but that video will be coming soon. Cam, first thoughts on the squad?
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all. Beast squad, to be honest.
Yeah.
Amazing to see. Obviously, there's a big question mark around lock selection and who's available, who's not available. So, it's going to be interesting to see. And probably wondering how Rassie's going to navigate his line-out options. Maybe just kick all day and never kick out so that you don't have a line-out. I don't know. Going to be interesting to see how Peter Steff goes from a 7 position into a lock position. Ruan Nortje, that's kind of the biggest question mark I have.
I think let's go top to bottom, and you can give me your piece. A couple of your teammates, Ox, Bongi, starting there with Frans Malherbe, the diesel tractor.
Yeah.
How do you think those experienced looks are going to go?
Yeah. Better front row in World Rugby you'll never find. Ox, the joker, he'll eat your heart out and laugh at you while he does it. He's a little bit sadistic, but he's an absolute beast. Bongi, probably the most physical hooker in World Rugby, absolutely aggressive. From a mindset perspective, being able to play with someone like that has been amazing. Just seeing how personally he takes each encounter. It'd be lovely to see how he's going to go. Frans Malherbe, you know that he's only got one gear, and that's forward. So, I don't see us
stepping back.
100%.
There was a couple of articles or leaks that Gerrit Steenkamp is going to be starting ahead of Ox. Maybe with all this lock drama, what do you think? They've decided to go for the experience up front, maybe not test out Gerrit Steenkamp in that number 1 jersey, but rather go for Ox.
I think you've also got to look at it from a combination perspective. There's some locks who play better with props, and props who play with different locks. So that might have influenced the selection a little bit, just in terms of how Gerrit goes with someone like Peter Steff or Ruan behind him. But then also, something like, I suppose a bit of experience, like you said, would probably be something. Depends. You've got to look at it from a perspective of, does a guy like Gerrit contribute better off the bench than he does as a starter? And if you look at, and I don't want to jump the gun, but you look at scrum off selection, I think the on-form scrum off at the moment is probably Grant Williams. But you know that there's no one in the squad who potentially plays better off the bench than he does. So they might look at it from that perspective, and they would definitely have a reason for that.
It's almost a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, 100%.
And then we move into the locks, and there's been a lot of speculation online about who's going to be starting. Ebenant, Argeus Snyman, Loot Dioch. There's just a massive list. In comes Nicholas Janse van Rensburg. I had previously never heard of him. I don't know if you've ever played.
Yeah, I played with him at Montpellier. I played against him when he was at the Bulls.
So you could maybe tell us a little bit about him. Why do you think Rassie's maybe brought him in, besides the obvious lock crisis at the moment?
Yeah. Great thinker, great line-out jumper, great line-out contester. Can mix it up between throwing his weight around and ball playing a bit. So I think he's diverse, jack of all trades. Whether he's a master of any of those, I'm not sure. We'll have to see at test level. I think he has played a few tests, but a really nice guy. He's South African pedigree, so he's played the ranks, growing up, SA schools, under 20s, those kind of things. It's definitely, he has the heart of South Africa in him, and can turn it on aggressively. So a very smart player, and I think he's just been unlucky in terms of the squad or team that he's played with in Montpellier, to be fair.
Interesting. Well, they surprisingly haven't gone for him even on the bench. We only have 2, maybe 1 out-and-out lock in the team, being Ruan Nortje. They've partnered him up with Peter Steff. Then we got Sia, Ben Jason Dixon, and Jasper Visser on the side of the scrum. How do you think Rassie's going to navigate that one?
Well, Sia's going to have to learn how to jump this weekend. No, he can, to be fair. Out and out locks, Ruan Norkia. Ben Jason Dixon's going to have to be a big line-out option, I think, just to create some variety. And then we know that Peter Steff can jump. I think Peter Steff will probably play more of an enforcer role with the likes of Eben out. Is Eben even out? I don't know. Maybe Rassie is in your head.
A last little switch.
He's in your head. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. No doubt they'll have a plan around it, number one. And number two, the guys who will jump and the guys who will be able to fulfill that lock role will do a proper job of it. I know the amount of hours and the amount of footage that they go through in order to combat those type of setbacks it will look seamless. I have no doubt it will look seamless this weekend.
And then maybe another talking point is at 8 we had Ulrich Loh, Kwagga Smith, and then Jasper Visser back from his ban. Jasper starting is a little bit of a surprise to me, but maybe again it goes back to that experience now that there's been a bit of a shuffle around in the forwards, bringing back Jasper as that experience, maybe not going for Ulrich. Any thoughts on Jasper Visser, Ulrich Loh?
Yeah. Jasper's incredibly physical.
Yeah.
He's look, if you're in front of him, you're going to be on his highlights reel. Let's just put it that way. He's got an incredible work rate, and I think it would be nice to release him. He's been held back a little bit from his ban. So to get a guy like that on the park is going to be. He's 100%, and he'll be hungry.
Yeah.
He's sat around watching the Oaks train. He wouldn't have been able to train with them. It's going to be.
I know that feeling.
That's the one thing. Ulrich will be able to be a line-out option when he comes on. He's a utility, so he could play potentially lock if you need him to. He can play 7, he can play 8, and then you have a guy like Kwagga on the bench who's like all excitement. He can probably play him at prop if you need him to, play him at fullback. So it's going to be awesome to see. I think the game itself will come down to the bomb squad, and I like the idea of the bomb squad because it's got two meanings for me. You've got to understand the flow of the game. You've got to understand momentum and tempo. And sometimes you need to come onto the game and you need to be able to defuse a bomb, especially against a team like the All Blacks. They'll try and pick it up in the last 30, last 20, and you've got to kind of diffuse them potentially with tempo. Yeah. Whether you're slowing the game down, speeding the game up, or you shorten your passes to make it more physical. Those are kind of things that you look at. Or if you're up and you've got the upper hand, you want to come in and just bomb the place open and finish things up. So I definitely think that the bench for me, or the bomb squad, is going to be the biggest difference in this game going forward.
Wow. Well, they do always come on and make an impact.
Yeah.
And Kwagga especially is just an absolute workhorse. Into the back line, your position, scrum off, and I maybe want you to talk a little bit about the combination at 9 and 10, because going into it I thought they might start Grant, who, like you said, I think Grant's been in the better form of all the scrum offs, and then potentially play Pollard to counterbalance that experience and inexperience within the back line. And Rassie's basically switched it. He's gone for Kobus Reinach, who's a little bit more experienced, Sasha, who's looks like he's experienced, but he has 6 or 7 caps. How do you think that combination is going to fare against a very hungry All Black side, and with the situation up in the front?
Yeah. It's I think you've potentially hit the nail on the head. It's always difficult to understand what you want. If you have two very high-tempo players, a guy like Grant and a guy like Sasha, next to each other, it could be almost overwhelming for a lot of people. It could be overwhelming positively and negatively.
Yeah.
And so it's probably that balance of saying he has a mature head at 9, Kobus, who I think ticks the boxes. He's fast, he's physical, he's got a great pass, great kick. If he gets a line break, you're not going to catch him just as well as Grant. And then I think that he knows how to manage the game. I think a nice combination is Grant and Andre. Both. I mean, Grant has grown this year tremendously. He was like an out-and-out spark player, so someone with an amazing X factor. And there was always this like question mark whether he would be able to manage a game at test level. And I think that throughout the URC season, throughout the Challenge Cup season, he's just developed into one of the most complete test players. And I'd put him up there in the top 5, probably scrum halves in the world at the moment.
Really?
I just think being able to work with someone like that, to be able to see his work rate, his behind-the-scenes work, and his attention to detail is like
he's locked in.
Yeah, he's locked in, and I think that it's only the start of his international career. So I think that's where it's at. You've also got to understand that Grant is probably a more running 9, so he will tend to shape your defence, and then Pollard is quite he takes the ball to the line nicely, but he's quite a big distributor in comparison to Sasha. So for a guy like Kobus to sit and feed Sasha so that Sasha can express himself all day would be a great combination. And then for a guy like Andre to sit back and let Grant express himself a little bit more might be a combo that they're looking at. I don't know. I think they all kick very well. I think they all understand the game very well. It's the reason why they're there. And I think that, and we'll get to fullback a bit later, but for a guy like Sasha to sit or to play, and Andre Pollard to be able to look at his game critically, that's what you do in rugby, and that's how you get better. Is you sit back and you say, hey bro, from this perspective you could be better here. He's got incredible amount of experience, and he would be able to sit back and look at Sasha's game and fine-tune some stuff. Is he the complete player? Potentially, but there will be, because of his immaturity in terms of experience, there would be areas that he would have to grow in.
Well, I mean, you have Andre Pollard in your camp. One of the best to learn from. I don't want to spend too much time on 11, 12, 13, 14, because I think that was everyone sort of thought Kurtley, Cheslin, Damien, Jesse Creel, who've had phenomenal games for the Springboks. I mean, Kurtley scoring 2 against Australia, Cheslin's just Cheslin.
Untouched, unmatched, and the All Blacks won't be able to do anything, bro.
Exactly. So I want to jump into that 15 position, because again, there's been a lot of chats about Willie Leroux's coming up on his 100th cap. He's obviously been an incredible servant for South African rugby. And then you've got Rassie, who on my channel specifically, I've been saying, Rassie, if he continues to perform like this, is going to be putting a lot of pressure on the likes of Damien Willemse and Willie Leroux. And I was so convinced that Willie was going to start this game for the experience, because he's coming up on his 100th cap. It's against the All Blacks. Rassie's going to put Apelele Fassie in, which is just, again, a testament to the form he's in, to the rugby player he is. What do you think Rassie's seen with Fassie at the back there?
This is my 10th year in my professional career, and I've played with some special players, very special players, guys like Francois Steyn, Du Plessis brothers, I think, to date, Fassie's probably the most talented player I've ever played with. Just in terms of raw natural talent, his ability under the high ball, his speed, his step, his ability to defend. He is an incredibly special player. I think that's what Rassie sees. I think Rassie has this gift of refining players. A lot along the conversation of Grant, his ability to look at Fassie and say there's something there. He's got some stuff to learn. Let's refine him. And I think that Rassie has a platform in which to get a guy like Willie to build into that. I still think Willie's a class player. I think Willie's experience and his ability to play the game that he sees in front of him, along with staying in the confines of the game plan, is second to none. But on raw talent, I think Rassie, if you're going to spend a bit of time just harvesting that individual, you're gonna grow him into a very special player. And we've watched this season how he's developed from a game management perspective. And he even said in an interview the other day, he said his ability to see things in front of him and to play a more test style rugby, often because he's so talented, he would have put the ball in the back and he would have danced around and try and get through. But that could have potentially put people or the rest of the team in a detrimental position. And what you can see, especially in this last test against Australia, was his ability to play the right areas of the field. I mean, this brilliant try off the back end of Mapimpi's grubber was it was beautiful.
So you've got a lot of good Sharks backline players, eh?
Yeah, I just don't know when I'm going to be there.
Rassie. Okay, then we move into the replacements. Malcolm Marx, Gerrit Steenkamp, Vincent Koch, Marco van Staden, Ulrich Loh, Kwagga Smith. So 6-2 split. I think we've spoken about Grant and Andre. They're going to come off the bench, provide that different aspect to what Quibus and Sasha provide. And you do want Andre Pollard on in the last sort of 20 minutes against the All Blacks.
Yeah.
Within this bomb squad, who do you think's going to maybe surprise people the most? You know what you're going to get from a Malcolm Marx. You know what you're going to get from a Kwagga Smith. The likes of Gerrit Steenkamp, Marco van Staden, Ulrich Loh, Vinci.
I think like you know what you're going to get from a guy like Ulrich. He's combative. When things get heated towards the end of the game, he steps it up a notch. He will look you in the face and tell you like it's you versus me, which is a beautiful thing. A guy like Marco van Staden, when the All Blacks, let's use them as an example, start picking up the pace in the last 20, for him to be able to get onto the ball. They don't call him ESCOM for no reason. If all things are going well, you think it's good, and then the lights go out. He just gets on the ball, and he'll slow things down from a defensive perspective, and he then allows the rest of the team to get off the line. And I think that he will be a big integral part in the last 30, given the opportunity to showcase what he's got. And then, like you said, Kwagga, high energy. No one's gonna out intensify him. So regardless of the All Black bench that pitch up, Kwagga's gonna do a number on them.
Energizer bunny.
And then I think the front row just speaks for themselves. World Cup winners. So Vince and Malcolm are the bestest of friends, so they're gonna
tear them apart.
100%.
So I think all in all, a pretty good squad for what we have at our disposal at the moment. I'm saying that in terms of the locks, but I think a very good squad, exciting squad. Maybe we do need to see a little Cameron Wright over there, Rassie. But how do you see this game going? Final prediction for the game at Ellis Park.
21-18 would be my call.
3 points.
3 points. I think the difference on the day, as I've said, is the bomb squad, but we've got a little bit of X factor in the crowd. I think
at home ground.
Home ground. Ellis Park is a beautiful place to play. I think the All Blacks driving through Hillbrow might be a little bit daunting, but I think I call the Boks by 3. It's a proper test match.
I like that. Well, Cam, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for putting me through my paces today.
Pleasure, bro.
And if you guys want, I'll leave Cam's Instagram and stuff down in the description. Go give him a follow. Support the man. It's been great to me. And go Bokke.
See?
That's right.
No problem, bro.